How can I learn to trust again after I've been betrayed? Here are some tips for you on learning how to trust people again. My name is Ife, and I do Are You Happy TV because I want to humanize mental health. I want to have more conversations with regular people like you, people who don't have to be a clinical professional, and you don't even have to have ever been in a clinician's office for you to join in on the discussion around what makes us healthy and whole people. To me, mental health is human health, and we can learn to grow together. We can have these discussions together. So if you're interested in joining me on that journey, click the subscribe button and let's just get into it together. So it can be so hard when you've been betrayed, when you've had experiences where your trust has been betrayed, to want to trust anyone else again. But I'm here to tell you that our inability to trust people is going to negatively impact our mental health. It is important that we are sharing and receiving emotional burden, sometimes even just being there for someone as they process through something is so crucial to maintaining a healthy and whole lifestyle. Our mental health depends on it. If we can't trust people, we're not going to share. If we're not going to share, we're not going to develop trust in our relationships. If we don't have trusting relationships, we will keep things to ourselves. And when we're not doing well, we won't share that with anyone. So you see, it just feeds in with everything. It feeds in together and creates this vicious cycle of isolation. So it's important that we can learn better ways and skills so that we can learn how to trust and learn what makes someone trustworthy, what makes someone a good friend. How can we identify people who are trustworthy before we share very sensitive and personal information with them and increase the probability that our trust might be betrayed. So let's talk about some of the things that we might share with someone who is deemed trusted. We might share with them dilemmas we're facing. We might share with them our hopes and dreams. We might even share with them problems that we're having. It's important that we recognize that these are things that are very close to our hearts. And the only people we should be sharing those things with are people who we've observed and people we've acknowledged through real evidence. We've acknowledged them to be trustworthy. Just as I explained earlier, the question is, why is it important to have trusted people in our lives? Why is it important to be able to speak to those people? And it's important because no man is an island. Ecclesiastes says that two is better than one. But woe to the man who, when he falls down, he has no one there to pick him up. It is important and crucial that we can have good and meaningful friendships in life. Throughout the Bible, and I think God, our Creator, has created us to be in communication and community with other people. But if we don't know how to be wise about attaching ourselves to community, we can find ourselves in positions where we are attaching ourselves to untrustworthy individuals and end up having our hearts broken through that. I know I've been in those sorts of situations, and I'm sure you have too, where you've trusted someone who maybe wasn't super trustworthy, or maybe someone trusted you and maybe you weren't super trustworthy. We are breaking hearts, and our hearts are breaking when there is such a close tie to a person who's not really showing us that they're able to be trusted. So it's important to have people we trust in the world, because when we share things with people, we get a mirror reflection. We also get to open ourselves to another perspective. That other perspective can impact our perspective. And when we have someone who has a different background, a different story, a different life that they've lived, sharing with us the perspectives that they've gained, we can actually broaden our horizons. Our mindset expands. So it's important to to allow other people to influence us, but let's allow the right people to influence us. Let's talk about some characteristics that are found in trusted people. Number 1, a trusted person is able to handle sensitive information with grace. If you're sensitively sharing something with a person and they're busting out laughing at inappropriate times or putting you down or shutting you down, let's be a little bit wary about sharing real impactful information with that person. Another characteristic of a trusted person is that they can show forgiveness. What happens when there's a conflict? What happens when you do something wrong? When you make a mistake? Are they forgiving? What happens when you're running late? Say you've run late consistently for 3 times that you were going to show up. Is that person forgiving? Are they understanding? This is also another characteristic. Oftentimes we find that there are people who, if they don't have the same perspective as you, they don't want to hear it. And we have these people in society and government all over the place where there is a very, very limited care or a limited show of understanding. If you're sharing something with a person and you're trying to explain your point of view about something and maybe they don't agree with you, are they at least willing to listen? Are they at least willing to try to understand? Are you at least willing to understand? It's important to ask ourselves, are we trustworthy people? If we can develop trustworthiness in our own character, we can better identify trustworthiness in other people. So that's a little key I'm gonna give you. It's for free. Now, one of the other characteristics of a trusted person is, are they able to give you sound wisdom and advice? If you just had a fight with your boyfriend and you go to your friend and you say, hey, I just had a fight with my boyfriend, are they gonna be like, girl, we should go and key his core right now? Or are they going to say, hey, okay, try to see it from their perspective. Okay, just calm down a little bit. Like, let's take a deep breath. Let's talk through this. Like, what happened? You don't have to break things off. Like, just hold up. Are they able to give you sound wisdom because they have lived experience and they have gained wisdom from it? Some of us in society live but never gain wisdom from what we live. Now, are you surrounding yourself with people who do the same thing over and over and over again, never seeming to grow from it? Take that into consideration. Are you a person who does the same thing over and over again and doesn't grow? Ask yourself that question. It's okay if you are. Let's just be aware of it. One of the other things is maturity. Have you seen real, solid maturity in some people who are around you? So that is just some of the tips that we can get through, some of the things that we can look at, and really asking ourselves, am I trustworthy? Am I trustworthy? Let's ask ourselves, what are some of the ways that trust has been lost in relationships? When we do this, we can look at things that will help us to avoid breaking trust in other people. For example, rejection when you were honest. Have you ever laughed at someone when they were sharing something serious? Have you ever felt rejected when you were honest? Have you ever received some negative consequence due to your honesty? I think that is very important to say to ourselves, I want to be gracious towards people, and I want to hold their sensitive information with grace. That is a huge marker of someone who's trustworthy. How about a just basic overreaction? Say, you spilled a cup of tea on the floor and they flew into a frenzy, or say you forgot to return their Tupperware and they flew into a frenzy. That is a gross overreaction for a piece of Tupperware. Okay? Let's ask ourselves, have I ever done that? Have I ever overreacted to that degree? And has that broken trust in a relationship? So, these are my tips so far. I know this is a short video. This topic I love because we can go on and on and on about this. And I will make more videos to talk about trust. Let me know if this is helpful. Let me know if you want to hear more about this topic. There's so much more that we can share here. You're not going to get everything in just a 10-minute video. So it's important to recognize, first, what am I doing? What do I portray myself as? Am I trustworthy? And if we don't know that, let's talk more about the characteristics of trustworthy people. And let's talk more about how we can identify trustworthiness in others. So please remember that when you're learning to trust people, take your time, be willing to observe. Being friendly doesn't mean you're closed off, and being friendly doesn't mean that you just trust people immediately. So just being open, observing the person, seeing how they interact with you, seeing how they interact with others, this is going to help you to identify if this person is trustworthy. And one of the main things that I would say is it takes one to know one. So are you trustworthy? If you are trustworthy, you can be better equipped to identify trustworthiness in another person. So take your time and focus on you being trustworthy. It will help you to be able to identify trustworthiness in others before you start to trust them again. So stay tuned to my next video. I'm going to make a video about actual steps that you can take that involve testing the waters, that involve making meaningful connections, and so some of the things that you can do when you're trying to determine and also build trust with a person. All right, well, take care. I hope you're out there being happy and free, just believing that it's okay to be you. Bye-bye.